Stars are whispering tales of old, planets spinning, stories bold. Life is dancing through the night, countless worlds in the starlight. Galaxies full of mystery, infinite in their history. Beyond our dreams and our sights, life blooms in the cosmic lights, dancing on the edge of space. Take me away, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night. Nebulas with colors bright, birth new wonders in the light. Comets trail their sparkling tears, life endures through the years. In the silence of the void, every heartbeat is enjoyed. From the depths and to the heights, life expands through cosmic night. Dancing on the edge of space, and off we go, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night. Dancing on the edge of space, and off we go, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night.
Welcome. I can't believe we're back again. This is great, guys. I'm here with your friend and mine, Daryl. Hi there, Daryl. How are you?
Hello, Mark. I'm well, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Excellent. Yeah, we're back. We're calling this Night of the Comets because we have two comets in particular we'd like to try and see. Obviously, we have this one. This is Comet Swan. If any of you saw my Facebook post, I actually was playing with the telescope in the Sonoran Desert yesterday, and I ended up taking that photo of the pillars of creation, and right below it was this comet. This comet has moved very far away from that nebula now, so last night was the only time in human history we'd ever be able to get to take that picture. So I got it, and if you haven't seen it, maybe I can arrange to just pop it up here real quick. But it was just beautiful. Daryl saw it. Daryl, I thought you said you liked it, right? It was pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. A great picture. Put it up if you can.
Yeah, I will. I'll see if I can do
Everybody
that.
should see that.
All right, let me do that. And let me change a few levels here, drop things down to where they ought to be. Okay, yeah, this, if you notice, here's the comet. This is Comet Swan that we're looking at right here. And you'll notice that little dash right there. This comet is moving so fast to the left in this image that in just a few seconds, this is only 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, it's moved this far. You know, if we were to just go to 1 second, we'd actually be able to see it visually moving on the screen if we wanted to remain patient. It's moving through the summer Milky Way right now. I'll show you where it is in terms of our planetarium view. So if I back out, you can see here's the summer Milky Way. Okay, and where it was yesterday, last night it was down here.
You know, it was actually outside. It was actually outside
right
Scutum last night.
Yeah, It was here, right? Let me just see if I can grab the boundaries. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was out here in the Eagle Nebula, okay, and near the Eagle Nebula. Technically part of the Eagle Nebula, and I got that photo, and then it's up here now. 1 day. So it's moving pretty quick. Pretty quick.
It is. Boy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, and let's see now. I'm going to grab that photo because I know I can. It's right here. All right, and I'm just going to bring this up. The PNG. I think this is it. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this down just to make it viewable. And let's see if I can grab an image here to show you. I'll just drag this over. 1 second. I'm going to add a source window, make it a new source window, add the source window, and make it be Earthen view, this guy. There you go. So that is the image from last night.
That is a cool image.
Yeah, I did submit this to APOD, which is the astronomical photo of the day, run by NASA. But of course, they're down because of the shutdown. That said, this is where it was, and as you can see, that was in this image down here. It was right here. Okay, just about there, and now it's all the way up here in just 1 day. So whereas this is thousands of light years away, this object, here is thousands of light years away. Okay, this is thousands of light years away. This is millions of miles away. So thousands of light years versus millions of miles. So clearly this is incredibly much further away than this, obviously. But what a beautiful comet this is. Now, so that's cool. And the green is due to something we've talked about often. Carbon compounds in comets generally will actually emit green light when bombarded by ultraviolet light from the sun, and they ionize. And so this green is due to these carbon compounds. Now you can have carbon molecules, which are carbon molecules. Carbon has 4 electrons available for bonding, and so it does. And it does so with gusto and with ease. So carbon is very easy bonding to something else. And it also bonds to nitrogen very well. And sometimes you get 2 carbons and 2 nitrogens bonded to each other. And we call that cyanogen. Its nomenclature is C2, a little tiny 2 at the bottom, and an N2, a little tiny 2 at the bottom. So C2N2. And that is something obviously we don't like, because cyanogen reminds you of cyanide, and it should. All right, because cyanide is carbon and nitrogen together like that. So we would, of course, want to avoid that. But even if you were immersed in the middle of this cloud, it wouldn't hurt you, because it is so low density, only a few atoms every so often, that it would not be something dangerous to you at that density. The vacuum is far more dangerous to you.
I have a dumb question.
Yeah.
I have been following Comet 3I Atlas, whatever it is, the big one way out
Yeah.
there on the other side of Mars. Uh, but I heard that it's releasing a lot of carbon. Is it just carbon like this comes from this comet?
Yeah, I mean, most comets have carbon, a healthy supply. Carbon's, like we know, the fourth most abundant element in the universe. So, comets have quite a composition of carbon that's pretty high. And
Is
so,
is
yeah,
Atlas releasing an inordinate amount of carbon?
yeah,
Perhaps
at the
is what I
beginning it
should have said.
was. Yeah, it was initially. And there might be an understanding of the lack of clear iron content. We saw nickel, but we didn't see iron. That finding is apparently coming into question now. So there'll be some news on that maybe before the end of this broadcast.
Oh, I heard
So
something about that too.
yeah,
So
so
they said they were seeing nickel without iron.
yeah, and it might be possible that is something that, like I said, may not be actual. There might be some iron that hasn't been explained well yet.
That's interesting. Of course,
I went to
folks.
5 seconds, by the way, just so you know. I wanted to try and get the movement, so I went to 5 seconds on this. This is the black level, so I'm gonna move this back here. Okay, so now we'll be able to see it move.
Nickel and
Alright, go
iron
ahead.
are usually closely associated, folks. As in, iron meteorites are actually nickel iron. Usually, when you see one, you see the other out in space. If that ratio was off, truly, it might say something interesting about its interstellar origins, wherever it came from. Maybe there was a different balance of nickel and iron. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and I did on Skytour Radio the other night. We did a complete show on 3I Atlas. We showed its trajectory. We showed how it actually is, how it's crossing through our solar system, but came from the plane of the galaxy. It's cutting across, but see, our what people have to realize is our solar system isn't sitting flat with the plane of the galaxy. It's actually on a 62-degree angle. So it's on an angle like this. You might say, well, wait. And if you look at me down the lower left corner, you can see here's the solar system, here's the galactic plane. So how is it that the thing can come across? It's a matter of illusion, okay? The galaxy's plane goes through the solar system plane like this, but from the side, you see, it can cross through our solar system on the galactic plane, which is right here. So it's just a physical difference. So that said, one of the things that we're seeing, and I'm going to start saving this now because I want to save these objects and put them together later, because this comet's moving so fast that we could put together quite a beautiful animation. So it's coming across from the galactic plane, and as Daryl was pointing out, does that mean it was in a spot where more stuff was? And I think the answer is yes. Now, Avi Loeb says he's not sure about how much stuff is out there, and I can see that, because we don't really know. In fact, only until recently did we realize, I should say, that maybe the cloud of dust around the Pleiades cluster is the same cloud of dust that we're actually enveloped in too. So I think that's pretty cool, that maybe we're inside a gigantic dark dust cloud and didn't even realize it. So our view of the universe has been stunted and reddened, because whenever you look at anything through dust, all the starlight looks redder than it normally is. All right, so I'll say this. Like I said, this is Comet Swan. If you have any questions about Comet Swan, please put them in, and we shall answer them for you. because we know what we're talking about, don't we, Daryl?
Uh, that's the
He's,
rumor.
he says yes. Yeah. I do want to say hello to everybody that joined us so quickly. It's very nice of you all to be up so much for this. Sally Forth was the first one here. Hi, Sally. Catherine Messick is with us. Kathy's wonderful. She has a beautiful Celestron, and you better be looking at this comet, Kathy. I want to see a photo you took on that telescope of this comet. All right. And then we have Good Vibes. Hi, Good Vibes. I know who that is. That's wonderful to see you here. And Rodney Cox. Good to see you, Rod. How are you? And we have, let's see, now we have, I see a couple other people here. Ronald, ERT Radio. Ronald's one of our benefactors with Sky Tour Livestream. We always welcome his presence. Kevin O'Neill's here with us. How you doing, man? Nice to see you. He says, from Springfield, Missouri, home of the Cashew Chicken Bass Pro Shop in Missouri State, where you began your college education. Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
It wasn't called Missouri State back then. It was Southwest Missouri State. And before that, they called it Teachers College. And
wow.
but yes, I was born and raised in Springfield, Missouri. I've been living in Colorado since I was 21. And Springfield is famous for cashew chicken. Springfield style cashew chicken, folks. If you ever want to look up the recipe, it's online, and it's different than cashew chicken other places. It's like Chinese chicken nuggets smothered in sprinkled with cashews and chopped green onions and smothered in oyster sauce. It'll knock your socks off. It's really good stuff.
That sounds too good.
It is.
I was going to say hi to Otto and Mr. Janko, Water Rat. Hey, that's Matt. How you doing, Matt? Nice to see you, brother. And then we have Logan S. Hi, Logan. How's it going? And we also have, I think I said hi to you, didn't I, Otto? Daisy and Zoe Amethyst, how are you guys? James Dugan from down under in Australia. Nice to hear from you. And let's see. I saw somebody else here. That I want to Sky Tour Life fan. There he is. Hi guys. Hi guy, should say. How are you? And he says hi everyone. And we're just looking at Comet Swan right here. Sam S, what's happening? Nice to see you. Comet Swan, you can see a little dash in there. That's because the comet is moving so fast that we can't take any long-term photos of it without them being blurry, and the brightest part of the comet gets dragged out. So what we do is we save the image, save it exactly as seen, let it keep going, and then we clear it, and we start over. And we take it just a few seconds of shots, and we clear it and start over, so we can actually animate a sequence of these objects and show them moving. It's going to move right through this frame, very quickly over a certain amount of time. Johnny Smith, hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Roy Batty, I know Roy. How you doing, man? Good to see you. And he asks, do we know how fast Comet Swan is moving?
I just answered it.
Oh, you did?
About 134,000 miles an hour.
Okay.
And that's its speed relative to Earth.
Okay, because I know that 3i Atlas is moving just about that as well. So, is that the right value?
That's what Google says.
Huh. C&D boy, how you doing? Okay. And we're good. Cosmic Rays with us. How you doing? He wants me to guide on the Comet Coma. I'd like to do that. The only problem is that I don't know how to do that with this at this point, because this is an off-axis guider, and I can't get the coma in here without it being nearly out of the field. because of the way the off-axis guide is set up. So I can't do that. I'd love to guide just on the comet. And right now I'm guiding on stars. For 99.999% of what we do, we always guide on stars. But, you're right. If I could guide in a comet, I wouldn't get these dashes. The stars would move, and I'd see the comet. I got to look into that. Ray, that's actually a good idea. Thank you. Yep. Oh, was that 134 kilometers per hour?
I think he means 134,000,
Thousand.
K
Oh.
per thousand.
Yeah, but I was asking, is that kilometers or miles per hour? Do you know?
This is straight from Google, approximately 134,000 miles per hour.
All right.
134K mph, or well, even that doesn't
Yes.
say it. 134,000 miles per hour. It is traveling 60 kilometers per second.
All right, now look up the speed of 3i Atlas. Should be faster because it's accelerating toward the sun. All right, so now I'm going to save that.
Google says 130,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's extraterrestrial, interstellar. So it should be moving faster than Swan, which is not interstellar. It's the speed in the orbit.
Well, and they differentiated that. 3i Atlas is moving through our solar system at approximately 130,000 miles per hour.
More distant.
210,000. Approximately 210,000 kilometers per hour. Now, they differentiated with Comet Swan that it is moving relatively slowly because it is in our solar system and it has a long orbit like comets tend to have, but its speed relative to Earth is 134,000 miles an hour.
Okay. I'm going to look into that because I know what you're saying is what you're reading, and it's not you. I'm just thinking that, just like the sites that didn't have the coordinates of the comets before, I think there's some information out there that's maybe not right. Because it's the speed of the interstellar objects and their hyperbolic trajectories, which make them
Well,
interstellar.
as they said, that is its speed through the solar system.
Yeah. And they're saying that Swan is relative to the Earth.
Yes.
All right. And you know what? To be fair, the differences in speed is not 100,000 miles an hour. It's only, 20 or 30,000 miles an hour. So that indeed could be correct. I mean, it could very well. Look at this right here that's showing us.
The Earth is moving 67,000 miles an hour in its orbit around the sun, so I'm sure that's factoring in there somehow.
Yeah, we got something out there. Look at that.
I don't know. When we look at Comet Swan is on its way out already. It's already passed closest to Earth, passed closest to the sun, closest to Earth, and it's on its way back out into the outer reaches of the solar system now.
All right. I'm going to cut this right now just because I want to move it over. Look at that. Okay, so I'll move it over right now just to pull it in. There it is right there. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Yeah, I know. You're trying to guide on something that I'm moving on you. That's right. Okay. So we're going to pull this in like that. And then do this. Not that. This one. Okay. All right. Now we'll set up the guiding again. Actually, I'm not ready to do that yet. I have to let this calm down. Okay. I have Comet Lemon in here as well in the database, so we might want to try that.
I thought it was too low.
Well, we can try it. I don't think we'll be able to see it. It was only like, well, I'll show you. We come back here. All right, this is where we're looking now. We're at like 29 degrees or so. All right, and if we go look for Comet Lemon, which I installed in the database, it's way over here. Oh, it's already set. It was a little higher earlier.
Earlier, yeah.
But it's already set.
The numbers I mentioned to you earlier were at Astro Twilight, as we did last night, approximately 7:30 Arizona time.
Okay. Well, we're good. This is all good. While we're in the Milky Way, if you guys have anything you'd like to see, we might as well check them out. We're going to be looking at this. See, now, here's the thing. What we can do is we can add, like we've done before, we can add a nice thin line. Okay. Uh-oh. Why did both my sessions get interrupted? Did I lose my connectivity? Uh-oh. No. But that's weird. Both Benson and the other got knocked offline, but they're still out there. So let me start them up again. I don't know what that was all about. Yes, Wickenberg is back. And sorry about the bright white. This is weird. Sometimes I lose connectivity. There it is. I don't know what happens, but it happens. Okay. So what I was going to do was try this again. I want to show the movement of the comet. So we see where the comet is right here. Okay. We see the comet in that area right there. Let me... Right there. You see the comet there. What I want to do is I want to grab a line and put in a line that demarcates where it is and change the size here to this guy. So right about now it's here. So I want to get the line in there. And it's not drawing. Why is that? I don't get it. Okay, well, it won't let me draw it, but that's all right. We have it right here. Maybe we can do it with this. Oh, that's not working either. That's better. Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, I had the wrong setting, so I think we're good now.
Was in a case
Well,
of Pepsi.
Huh? What did you say?
This wasn't a case of Pepsi syndrome, wasn't it, where you lost your controls?
No, actually, I lost access to the building, and it's back. I mean, I have it back in both places.
Okay. That was
Yeah, so this is...
a lame attempt at a joke.
Oh, sorry. All right, so this is where we are. It was a weird delay. Yeah, I'm getting a weird delay. Yeah, definitely a weird delay. Look at that. Wow. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to... I think I know what was wrong. I think we lost some Starlink satellites momentarily. I know we had a Starlink outage a while back, and that wasn't good. So let's see if we can get this back. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay, this line right here. Oh, you can't see that. Hold on. All right, this line, I'm going to zoom in. Zoom in. Okay. This line right here is crossing the center of the comet. So if we watch that line live right now, I'm at half-second intervals, 500 milliseconds. You'll see that the comet's going to move to the next line. It'll move in between, then move to the next line. Let me go to a full second with this. And that'll probably be a little more, it'll be brighter, a little more illustrative. Yeah, there you go.
Sam
The idea is
asks,
to see things.
can you put a grid over the picture?
Yeah, there is a way to do that, and I gotta figure out where that is. Because I actually have, but you can't. There is a way. I want to draw one in here, which I could have done, but actually I might be able to now, since I got control back that's reasonable. So now what I can do is I can probably put in my line that I want to put in before. All right, so let's do that. Do this, then come here. Yeah, it doesn't want to. There's the line. So we can watch that comet move to the left of that line. I could have made that little smaller line, but that's okay. Now, this is, again, live. This is Universe Live in real time, of course, so we'll actually see this object out in space moving in real time, which is kind of neat. You can already see that it has. It's moved to the left of that line a little bit. See that? And now it's almost fully past that line. It's got a little more. That's how fast this thing is moving out there, guys. And you can actually watch it go. If you recall, we've looked at some asteroids, and we actually watched them travel through our field, which is neat. And now we have this comet, and you can see right there, you can see the comet doing that right there. That's just crazy. That's amazing. Yeah, that's neat. So it's already past the line here, right there. It's already, there's the center. It's already past our line, because we had that right over the center, and it's moved this far in that amount of time already. That's pretty good. Sorry for my disembodied look, but I like to be able to point to things too, you know, and show you. So I think that's cool. All right, now the comet nucleus is fully off, and if we were to add another line here, we'd have to add it obviously to the left. And so if I did that, I would make it a smaller caliber line here, but it would go like right here. And now you'll see that brightness travel past it. And as we speak, it's going past it. Now that really shows you how dynamic the universe is, because we're seeing things happen right before your eyes. Makes me think about what it would have looked like to the dinosaurs to watch the asteroid coming in. Obviously, none of them would have been capable of understanding it. Well, except that one smart Einstein dinosaur that was actually getting smarter, and then he got wiped out. That was the Troodon. Who knows what that creature would have become, but his brain capacity was actually increasing quite rapidly, and he was heading down a path that could have made him as smart as some of today's dogs. Imagine saddling up a dinosaur and say, "Go, let's go, let's go off to the pasture," you know, or even smarter. Look, it's already past that line. So, what could we do with this scientifically? Well, what we could do is we could actually mark its positions very accurately and take a quick snapshot with just the core, take the average height or average brightness of that core, and make that the center point, and get the exact timing. And based on that, we can actually come up with a speed. If we have an idea how far it is, we can actually come up with its speed. We can calculate its speed. Look at that, past the line already. How about that? Not bad. So it really is it's neat to watch the universe provide this to us. Here's another one, another line. I'm not going to do this all the way across, don't worry. We have other things to look at while we're here. James Dugan says, Mark, can you do a time-lapse video when you get enough data to the end? Yeah, James, that was the idea. I took some, that's why I moved this over, actually. But you can see it's moving, so the point has been made, okay? And what we'll do now is we will do a 5-second photo and live stack these, right? And you'll see it. Yeah, that ain't it. I had to drop it out of that. Okay. So here's where it is. Okay. You can see there's so much going. Now this corresponds to hundreds of thousands, if not a million miles in diameter around this. So this coma is what we call a coma, the cloud around the nucleus. They can be huge. And the tails stretch millions of miles as well, obviously. Now, in the photograph I took yesterday, you may remember, and that photograph is this one. That was in the nebula known as the Pillars of Creation. Ronald asked that earlier. That's Messier 16. There's the pillars right there. So if you look carefully, you can see it has a tail coming off to the left there. But it's actually a very faint tail. So in this view, it's off to the left as well, because it's been corrected. Yesterday I had this flipped. Daryl noticed. Daryl and I were doing a private viewing to try and capture this, and unfortunately the telescope wasn't cooperating in the Sonoran. But I got it to work later, and I stayed up even later to capture this image. This is kind of once in a lifetime. We don't get this happening often, but this is the entire extent of this nebula, and this is traveling right through it. Oh, I heard a train, and it's like it is a train because it's in our Benson telescope, has microphones, and we have trains that go through there all the time. I'm sure Ronald's hearing them right now because Ronald lives in Benson now. Okay. Hey, here's Ron Regier. How you doing, Ron? Nice to see you. Robert Waters is with us. Nice to see you guys. It's moving fast. And so what we're doing is we're just trying to capture. I'm going to just save this as well, even though it's spread out. Yeah?
I still say you should submit that to Space Weather, since APOD is down. I'm sure they'd love to have it. They have active comet galleries going on over there.
Oh, cool. I will do that then. I'll do that tomorrow.
I'm sure they'd like to see this.
you know what we're gonna do, guys? Whenever we take some really cool photos, we're gonna do that. We're gonna start submitting them to some of these sites. You know, I really, we really need help keeping this all going. I hate being a telethon, but it is something that I do want to keep doing for you. Okay, that's good, Ron Regier. Ron lives in a nice dark sky in northern Arizona. He's sort of near Sedona, little south of Flagstaff. Nice location there. In his town, there's a guy that has 2 observatories on his front lawn. Or his side yard, I guess.
Mark Good Vibes asks, can you point out the pillars again? Pillars of creation.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's
Here,
the figure of the eagle itself in the middle of the cloud.
actually, you know what? We should go take a photograph of that because it's right near here, in this view that we're in. So we'll actually do that. Good vibes. We're gonna go take a picture of this because you asked for it, and that's we are very interactive. So this image here, Comet Swan Gallery, is going to be pretty big. So we'll it's not going anywhere. We'll come back to it. So let's go check out Pillars of Creation, and we'll be right back to this. So that will be there. What I did was, you have these coordinates you can just plug in. Think of the latitude and longitude on the Earth being extended out into space, and then call them something different. That's right ascension and declination. All right. So right ascension is like hours. That's like the lines of longitude, which go up and down, and then declination is the angle up and down, which is like latitude, right? So, when we put them out into space, they stay fixed. The stars are like in a fixed sphere up there of those values. So at any time, there could be a different line, and there is a different right ascension line over your head. We call it the meridian, and it goes, and Daryl talks about this all the time too. So we use that coordinate system, and we use another thing called galactic coordinates. Remember I told you about that 61 degrees, the galactic plane? Sometimes you measure stuff, and we did in astronomy, we measure stuff that's actually in galactic coordinates. And many times you'd have to convert between the coordinates that we use every day in right ascension and declination, but put them into galactic coordinates as well. So we'd have to get the galactic coordinates for, say, this object versus the celestial coordinates based on the Earth's position. And that was, sometimes that's crazy because it's an extra calculation I didn't like doing. Let's put it that way, but we did it. Okay, that said, let's go now to our planetarium program here, and you'll notice that we're right near a beautiful Eagle Nebula, and that is what we're talking about. Good vibes. And if we say go there, first thing I'll do is turn off our tracking, which, by the way, works really well. So I'm going to start using that on our new system. Our system out here in Wickenburg, this telescope doesn't have the same mount, but we're going to give it the same mount because we have one. Here's the sky out there. You notice the clouds? All right, and the north is up here. This is where Comet Lemon would be if it was still up. So we couldn't go there today and use it. But here's the Milky Way. Looks nice. So this is the all-sky camera I built for that site. I will be building one for this site. The one we're using here is actually one that belongs to another astronomer on the mountain. So I'm just kind of borrowing his, which is fine. Right, and that's this. It doesn't refresh unless you tell it to. Okay. And I gotta have it refreshing all the time, but this is beautiful. His camera's not as sensitive as ours. Alright, so that said, now that we have selected this guy, which is the Eagle Nebula. We'll center it, and we're going to tell the telescope to go there. You can watch the telescope move right there. It's going to move a little bit. There it is, and there is the eagle. I did do a critical focus. This is the pillars. The pillars are right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them over a little bit and get them into the center. All right, and then we'll take a picture of the pillars. This telescope is a narrow field with a lot more pixels. So we'll actually get a much more beautiful image here than we would with the Sonoran telescope. All right, the Sonoran telescope can't see a lot of detail deep inside the nebula, but this one can. And so this is going to be kind of cool to see it with this. All right, let's get our new guide star. Guidey. There we go. And go for it.
Where did the name
right.
Pillars of Creation come from? That was Hubble, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right. They went romantic with the name, but see, it makes sense because I talk about this all the time. I say life began in the dark, and those pillars are actually not bright areas. They're actually dark dust areas that are illuminated by hydrogen gas that's emitting around them, but they are buried dust. That's why they're still there, right? And you know this, of course. I'm talking to everybody else. The pillars themselves are dark dust. Well, we'll show you as we get in here. So let's do a 35-second shot here.
Well, my point is just that they already had names before they ever called them Pillars of Creation.
Yeah, it was Messier 16, the Eagle Nebula, yeah.
It's the Eagle and the Eagle Nebula.
Yeah.
And now they call it the Pillars of Creation. Somebody's flight of fancy.
Yeah, that's like saying the Big Dipper is part of Ursa Major, right?
Well, that's convention. That's been around for a long time.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
but now
somebody just pulled the name out of a hat and called it Pillars of Creation.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. So there they are. So I'll color correct, and then we'll process it to get the proper dark level. Here we go. And now watch. Boom. Okay. And so now this white curve is the average curve of the red, green, and blue curves. Those will sharpen up as we move forward, and you move this just to the left of the peak, and you get the darkest view. And let's see if I'm using sharpening here. I don't know that I am. Yes, I am. Luminance only. Okay. I just don't have it up very high. Yeah, this is stunning. So here are the pillars. To answer your question, good vibes. Okay. These three. Now, this is a hot star cluster. We've talked about this before. You'll notice there's something over here, too. And that actually comes into play here as well. But those dark, let me darken a little more. These things here are dark dust areas. And because the end of this is very dense, all right, it's not subject to erosion by the starlight like the rest of the nebula was. So whereas the nebula's young hot stars tend to push away all the material around them, it couldn't push away the material here. Because it's on a radial line away from that cluster, what's behind it also survives. Okay? Same thing here. Same thing here. Okay? This same thing here. And the same thing here. And here. Okay? And this is a special feature we call the fairy, right? Is it the fairy?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what threw you last night. With your image reversed. It showed the fairy at the top right instead of the top left.
Yeah, it was the wrong place.
The fairy always looks like a hood ornament on a Rolls Royce or a Emmy Award or something. To me, is what it.
Oh yeah.
Always reminds me of
This is
the
the top
pillars
and
there.
the bottom.
Yeah, you can see the actual eagle there. The three dark ones. The central one is the eagle's body, and that's his nose up at the top right. The one to the left, the dark crooked one, that's the eagle's wing.
Where
And
you
then the
looking?
one, well, down just a hair where your pointer is, where the dark,
This?
that's the wing.
Ah,
Then
okay.
to the right of that is the eagle's body and its head at the top right. That's his head. And then the one on the lower right is his foot, like the eagle's
Okay.
flying through the air with its feet out, like it's going to catch a
I
fish or
got you.
something.
Or
That
it's
is
got one.
the that is the true. That is the eagle itself.
Interesting. It's kind of funny. I can see that we are a little out of focus. I should probably do a focus run here. But I will. I'll set this target. I'm going to add our annotation here. We make sure we get it accurate. There we go. Then I'll say M16 Eagle Nebula. We'll set that target name. And then when I come out of this, we can save, and we'll save this. And then I'm going to do a focus run just to get this all focused. So we're going to go back to our 1 second photo here. And you might say, oh, but it goes away. Yeah, but not for long. All right, so now we'll do this. And I'm going to pop it in the positive direction here. And I'm going to then come in here and stop this from guiding. And pop it one more time in the positive direction. And you'll see these get out of focus a little more. There we go. All right, and now we're going to start the focus run. We're going to build a focus curve. All right, and we're going to, since we went positive in defocusing, we're going to come back negatively to bring it back and build a curve that's look like a little parabola. And the vertex of that parabola, once it's finished being done, will be our perfect focus point. And it makes everything look better. Meanwhile, back in the Sonoran Desert, you can still see we have clouds, but the Sagittarius Milky Way down here is beautiful. This Milky Way looks really, really pretty down here. We can add the constellations. You can see where they are. Okay, here's Vega and Lyra. We have Deneb up here. Well, we get rid of them now because it's hurting us. There is Vega, there is Deneb, and there is Altair. And these three stars, okay, make the summer triangle. As you can see, it's October, and the summer triangle is still prominent. It takes some time, to go away. But it will.
It's slipping away night by night. Wasn't so long
It
ago
is.
that Vega was directly overhead, and it's getting well over in the
Yeah.
west now.
Yeah, it is. Okay, we got our focus position, and you can see the telescope is saying, okay, I'm done. And sorry about that. And then it's going to do the focus. Now it's perfect. So we can get rid of this. It's done its job. And now these stars are even better focused than they were. So what we're going to do now is come back here, and we're going to do I'm going to tell you too about this. I discovered, and it's not just me. I mean, I knew this all along, but I didn't want to do this while you guys are watching because it takes too long. If I did like an 80 or 90-second shot, a lot of the noise would be gone from the very first shot, and it gets really rapidly better after that. But I don't want you sitting through all that time. So that's why I'm doing 25-second shots or 30-second shots. So this will be 25. And we just take a few more shots than normal. But you'll see the pillars now, and all the stars will be in much better focus. Okay, you can see the progress bar down here on the right side, right next to our Asterian Foundation banner. Asterion has been good enough to give us a small grant for a spectrograph system. Not here yet. We got parts in already, parts of it, but not all of it. There we go. Does that look great? No. That's because we haven't started guiding yet. So I'm going to clear and come over here, and we're going to grab a guide star and start guiding. And now, if this doesn't come in or doesn't come out, it's halfway done, but then we started guiding. Yep. So we're going to do this. We're going to clear, and it's going to be down below here. So this is where the pillars are going to be now. All right. Yep. Must have lost its guiding. Must have wind. Oh, look at that. Yeah, we got wind. Holy cow. Okay. We were blown around a little bit out there. Okay, now we'll do it again. Clear. Sometimes it takes a little bit. All right. Let's get this down here. We'll clear that. Now we're guiding. Notice our image of the telescope here matches this image. This is a virtual representation. I can spin it around, show the telescope from all angles, and this is the angle that we're at right now. Alright, so we're getting better now, and our stars are now little pinpoints like they should be. And this is our black level. As I mentioned with the curves, we're going to ride this black level back to the just to the left of the curve's hump, because that's where the most data is. There you go. So there it is. There are those three beautiful pillars within here. As Darrow points out, they are the parts of the eagle. And if we bring this in, it gets brighter. And there's a certain point at which we don't want to bring it much closer because we don't have enough data to cover that kind of processing. So now what you'll see is it gets noisier. See? There's a lot there, but what I do is we hold back, and then as we get more data, we can start pulling that closer. This usually will always stay to the left of that average of the three curves. And what we'll do actually is I'm gonna drop that down, and I'm going to get rid of the telescopes for a bit, and we're gonna end up looking at it this way. I'll try to do this. Now that's really close, but what I want to do is look at the pillars right there, and I'm gonna take our curve here, drop it down more to help get rid of some of the noise. There we go. Now that doesn't look so bad. I also want you to take a look at this interesting blob over here. I know you know what that is, Daryl.
It's the blob.
Yes, it's the blob. It's the blob.
What are you saying?
What
Herbic
it is in
arrow
general.
object, Bach globule.
Yeah, Bach globule. That's a Bach globule. Now, I also have to point out something too. You know, when we look at this screen, one of the things we have to consider is that we're looking at objects that are we're looking at a screen characteristics that are very important. One of them is this right here. The exposure is very important. The gain is very important. So this is how long we're exposing the sensor, and this is how sensitive we're making the sensor. The bigger this number is, it's 250 right now. The bigger that number is, the more digital noise we have. If I set this down to like 50, we wouldn't have a lot of digital noise, but the sensor wouldn't be as sensitive, and we wouldn't get as good of an exposure as we're seeing here. We wouldn't see any of this detail in here. Okay, so we want to be careful, and it's basically a play between exposure and gain. All the rest of these parameters have to do with filter wheel right here, focusing right here, control the telescope right here, and this is called the histogram. We can take and change the curves to make it brighter, less bright, and so forth with all that. And of course, these are our views. Okay, that's the telescope view from the wall. This is the telescope view from the roof view, and this view is one that's actually they're all pan and tilt, so we can move all the cameras. Anyway, so there you go. That's a tour of how the future setup will also be, both here and out here. Right now, these are fixed cameras out in the Sonoran telescope, and we're going to change that to cameras that move around. But look how much better this looks already, huh? Look at that. Not bad. And we have 12 of these images stacked with none rejected. We can see that when we look here. Okay, it says 12 stacked, 0 rejected right there. And our curves, as I promised, are now more like lines instead of jagged. More data coming in allows us to see that. You can clearly see this red hydrogen emission at the edge of this globule here. Why is this globule here? Well, it's an area that was too dense for these stars to evaporate. It evaporated all the stuff in here and pushed it all away, so it's maybe down here. But this stuff is too dense, as I said, and it protected the stuff behind it. This was too dense, meaning it's also collapsing on itself. This could become, at some point, a star system. Maybe we'll see a star in here. Maybe the James Webb can already see a protostar forming in here. We're going to have to see. So let's back this off a little bit and get a better view. Yeah, these are in the way, I know. I don't want to get rid of them, though. I need them there.
That globule, that dark globule over on the right, I would speculate that it might have been a pillar itself once upon a time, and the fainter parts of it got blown away, and what's left is the thickest part.
Interesting thought, because this is pretty dense, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like it's thinning back here.
You can see, looking at the globule, it's kind of an oblong shape, and that oblong is actually pointing up toward the cluster, just like the pillars are pointing toward the cluster, because that is the direction that the radiation is coming from, is the cluster.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Pushing on everything we can see there.
Yeah, so that's, if we were to draw a line from here up, okay, it takes us back to that cluster. A line from here takes us back to that cluster. This takes us back to that cluster. This takes us back to that cluster. This takes us back to that cluster, more like up here. But again, it's in three-dimensional space. Hard to tell.
And the one down toward the bottom center is pointing up also.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah, so that one also, yeah, you're right, goes up there. We also have a central one in here, this little one, okay, and that's pointing kind of up to here. So the source for all of these is right here, you know, and that's what's interesting, you know. And that's knowing this data, you already are armed to understand how stellar nurseries form and dissipate. You already have something to think about that'll allow you to see that. Bright stars cause the gas and dust to dissipate, dense areas stay behind, and protect what's behind them. It's that, I hate to say simple, but it's kind of that simple. Although there's a heck of a lot more to it than that, but still, it's actually the basics are there.
We see similar processes going on in other emission nebulas like this too.
Yeah, that's
See
right.
pillars and such.
Yeah, do you remember up in the northern sky, we looked at a bunch that were like this, showing us some pillars. And I was thinking maybe what we could do tonight too, since it's sort of in the neighborhood, we could either stick around and look at some more objects here, but I think these are going to get low here soon.
Yeah.
And we could go to Aquarius again and check out the Helix Nebula. Want to do that?
Sure.
Okay, because that really came in nicely. I took a picture of it with this camera for the first time the other night, and it just blew me away. But tonight I'll take a slightly longer one and see what it looks like. Yeah, that's actually in the southwest now. So it's gone from the south to the southwest. So everything in the southern Milky Way here, in the south, direct south, has actually started to shrink down, and now we have Aquarius up here. And right up here in Aquarius, we have this object here, and that's the Helix Nebula. Now, this is a planetary nebula, and that's a nebula so-called because in a telescope they could look like faint planets, although the helix is way large in the smallest of telescopes that can see it. And they're the end state of stars like the sun. A little bit more massive and less massive will be this end state. So it's a shell of gas around a white dwarf star, and the white dwarf will be very, very blue because it's very, very hot. And we'll see that in just a bit. So let's come back to this. See, I'm giving you a look ahead after this commercial break. Let's dock this back up here. All right, this is 26 stacked. All right. Okay, let's, as I said, bring it back. All right. Yeah, a lot going on there, and let's see if we can add an enhancement to help out. Yeah, the enhancement shows some detail in there. That's nice. A little bit of a disadvantage because they are getting lower in the sky, but that's okay. It does still have some really, really pretty imagery associated with it. And I'm with you, Daryl, when you said that you like how this shows the reds better. This does show the reds better. In fact, I don't even have it all the way up. This is the true color. You can actually see this popping now.
Is that the camera, the filters, or what?
Well, if you notice, let me correct. Okay, this is the correct view. So we have this greenish blue here. This might be O3 oxygen doubly ionized, right? And I am using a UHCS filter right here, but that's like it's like a narrowband filter where we're seeing hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3, which is the greenish blue color, like we see in the Dumbbell Nebula, and we'll see in the Helix, and then we have the sulfur 2 line, and so it's a fairly broad set of 3 different lines that are all in one filter. Now, there are people that do what's called narrowband photography, where they actually have just an H-alpha filter, and they take lots and lots of images. Just an O3 filter, and take lots and lots of images. And just a sulfur 2 filter, and lots of images, and they combine them all to make a color image. They're all black and white until you put them together with their associated colors, and you get your full color image. Now, that would be something to be fun to do, except it wouldn't be fun for you, because you'd have to sit there and watch the same black and white images coming in over the course of a half hour and go, I'm sick of this, and you want to leave. And I'd rather show you something cool right up front. Okay, so we're at 32, and I'm going to just zoom out here. And, well, I guess it helps if I do this. Yeah, okay. So we'll save this now, and yeah, let's do this. Got that? All right, good. So we'll save, as I have been, and then save as scene. There we go. And if you want this, you can go to skytourlive.org and download the picture I'm about to show you. This very picture is available for you to download right now. It takes about 30 seconds for the image to get there. Let me just look at this. Okay, here we are. All right, so that said, we're going to come back now and go low light for a moment. And now we're going to go to the Helix Nebula, which is really an astonishing object. Okay, so this should be here. It's right there. It's in the center. Okay, and let's tell it to go there. And there it goes. The telescope is moving around, going a little bit to the east, like it needs to. And I do believe we have to take a picture to see, because I'm not sure. Oh wait, let me bring this stuff back here. There we go. Sometimes when you reduce the size, you get a better view. So we're going to reduce the size. There it is. You can see it right there. So it's almost there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down into the view. We'll center it right up. You're going to see this actually fills the view very nicely. I do want to thank David Klein, who is with Star Arizona, who came out to actually align the telescope for us. He helped us greatly. There it is. It's in there. You see that little ring, faint ring in here? You don't? Okay, I'll show you. All right. So now we're going to do this now. We're going to take a picture. First things first, stop that. Take an image. It tried to start guiding by itself. I didn't want it to. And then we're going to grab our stars and start guiding now. Okay. Okay, now, folks, watch this. Now we're going to come out and we're going to do a shot that's 45 seconds long. All right? But we're going to drop down to 200 sensitivity, and there's a reason for that. At 250, we may lose some faint details. I know there's a bunch of faint details in here, and at 45 seconds, we should be able to see them. If not, we can go higher a little bit. How long have we been streaming? Do you know? An hour?
Hour,
Okay.
roughly.
Okay.
I think we should started a little bit late.
By just a couple minutes. Yeah, I wanted to go at like 10:30, and I think it was a little after that.
Yes.
Okay. Now you might say, well, that doesn't look like anything. It doesn't. Right? However, if we actually tell it to process a little bit, then boom, we get our nebula. And now you can see it. Look at that. And I'm going to go to better quality, and I've learned that it stops doing that garbage of getting bright and dim if I go to better quality. Now this ring is just off, but then there's another faint part right here. So there's the white dwarf in there, guys. And as we move forward, you're going to start to see radial lines. And Daryl and I were talking about this the other night. They're called cometary knots, but they have nothing to do with comets. It just is that there's a knot of material with a trail behind them, and they're coming out radially from this central white dwarf.
You can already see some.
Yeah, like right down here and here.
Yeah.
Now let's see if we can tease those out.
Mark, could you excuse me a moment, please?
Yeah, please go.
Right back.
Okay, I'll be right here. All right, let's darken this up, guys. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this is something else. Yeah, you know, in the other telescope, it's literally about this big. It's about as big as this circle of doubly ionized oxygen. The whole thing. And in this one, we see so much more detail. Let's color correct, and you'll see something really cool. Notice how you get more detail. Now, one of the things I said to you before is we're going to actually take this down a bit to help kill the noise, and it will allow us to see more detail. Hello there, 136 Amy. How are you? Hey, Lance Gold. How's it going? Lazy Duke. How you doing, man? Michael Hedrick. You're late, brother. Nick Guerrero. How are you, man? Good to see you. Yeah. Lance Gold talks about shock waves being created by new star systems. Actually, up in the northern sky, we are going to image something called the Tadpoles, which is a nebula that is more or less exactly what you're talking about. And we'll show that. I don't think we'll get to it tonight. But you know, you never know. Sometimes I get going and I just don't want to stop. So that's how that works. This is beautiful. This is the closest planetary nebula to us, and thus the largest in our sky. Now, if we, and I constantly recorrect, the background and the colors, because we want to make sure that we're getting the right color rendering the whole time. But let's take it apart a little bit, shall we? So this greenish blue, this is the characteristic color of oxygen, the third most abundant element in the universe, when it's ionized, okay? And doubly ionized, where two of the electrons on an oxygen atom are bounced off. When that happens, they eventually have to come back in, and when they come back in, they give off a characteristic teal or bluish colored light. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. All right. And then oxygen is just one element that's in here. We have several elements in here, a lot of them. But this is primarily hydrogen. The densest parts are the brightest. Right? And hydrogen has only one electron. And when that bounces off, and I'll tell you how it's bouncing off in a minute. But when it comes back in, it gives off a characteristic red light. Why are the electrons bouncing off the atoms? Well, electrons are subject to energy, and when you hit them with a lot of ultraviolet energy, especially very powerful ultraviolet energy, the kind that maybe a white dwarf could muster, which these do, they can start ionizing atoms within several light years of them because of how hot they are and how high energetic, highly energetic they are. And so the ultraviolet light from these stars can cause these electrons to absorb that energy and bounce off the atom for a time. And as they collide with other things out there, they lose that energy and drop back in, giving off the characteristic light we see. That's called ionization, bouncing off, and recombination when they bounce back in. And when we get the spectrograph set up, we'll be able to take a line right through this nebula and see every element that's in here and understand how it's actually made and what's going on in here. We'll see all the elements and be able to identify everything. And I think that's going to be really cool.
Nice intense colors tonight.
I know, it's really pretty. Now, we used to take pictures in black and white, and that looked like this. Now, what's wrong with that picture, besides not being in color? You can't tell what's oxygen, and you can't tell what's hydrogen. So the color actually allows us to immediately see what is oxygen and what is hydrogen, or atoms that glow teal and atoms that glow red when they're ionized.
Back when they shot black and white images, though, didn't they generally shoot like three, each representing a different wavelength?
Yep, I did that too. I shot red, I shot green, I shot blue. And we would look at the blue plates, the images, the red and the green, and sometimes recombine them to make what you see here. Now we do that digitally, which is great. I can take this image in full color and separate out the red, the green, and the blue, and see and look at all the different components. Lance Gold says he's taking a planetary dynamics and formation class. Really neat processes you have on screen. Yeah, it's true, Lance. It's true. I don't know where you are in the course. Let me know if you're looking at early planetary formation right now, or if you're looking at planetary atmospheres. Because when we did early planetary formation, it's a little different than later on, obviously, when it has an atmosphere, because a lot of things changed that changed the fabric of what you're talking about, with erosion and solar energy striking the surface. If there is one, you may not have an active surface. It could be all water. We had to consider that too. Okay, we have 11 shots so far on this, and you can start to see a radial view here. A radial appearance. I'm going to turn off the unsharp mask for a moment. Okay.
What you mentioned a moment ago about astrophotography, some do still shoot monocolors of all the colors. They do it digitally. They'll shoot luminance, red, green, and blue, or other palette selections through filters on a filter wheel, and then they will take all those mono shots and combine them and make pretty color pictures.
Yep. I was mentioning the narrowband stuff before. I don't know, I think maybe you had to go do something. You might not have heard that. But you're right. And luminance and RGB, those are all black and white images, and you have to combine them. It's so much better. I like one-shot color because we have an audience from all over the world, and it's really cool to to see it as it should be right away. Okay, Lance says.
They're doing very high resolution stuff, and they're sitting there letting the camera run all night long.
I know they have
shooting
thousands of
hours
hours.
hours of exposures on
Yeah.
each color.
Now, if we get another telescope in here, I might do that. I'd be actively streaming while the other one is doing, 3 hours of exposures. Lance Gold says, yeah, yep, early formation, moving into atmosphere with our next unit. Yeah. I've seen this nebula before, but never considered exactly what's going on to cause it. Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad I could help. And Heinz Sherry's with us. Hi, Heinz. Good to see you. If any of you guys are here that have not subscribed, look, just subscribe to us. It's simple. It's easy. It's free. We have years of pictures like this that we've taken. You can go to skytourlive.org, scroll down and say, I want cool pictures, and go look at all the pictures we've ever taken of the Helix Nebula, all the pictures we've ever taken of every other object. And once we get our application finished, then we have to solve a problem with image links. But once we get it done, then you'll be able to look at it much easier, and it really does a beautiful job. But we just have to get that done. I have to talk to some folks about that. But yeah, so this is beautiful. Let's see if we can haul out some more detail in here. Let's take our mid-level and move it a little bit closer to the curves. You'll see it's going to make a brighter view. Okay, move it back a little bit to kind of split the difference. All right, and we're at 200 sensitivity, so we're not at 250 with more noise. It's less noise. You can see some cometary knots starting to show up here. Definitely some down here. Look at those. And we can pull this closer. I also noticed last night, or the last time I shot this, that the curves for this one show a bump, a dip, and a bump. Now, interesting. It seems to me that it's responding to this, greenish blue center and the outer ring of red. But if you look at the curves, all right, the green curve is definitely showing a diminished level in here and then higher levels out here. And the blue curve is peaked and then starts to drop. And the red curve is relatively the same throughout. So I guess mathematically that all adds up to a average curve that looks like this.
What is the white curve? Is that the average?
It's the average of all three.
All right.
So if I put that at the dip here, okay, it shows mostly the green. Then if I go to here, even less so. I mean, that kind of looks cool. However, I will say this, and it's one thing I wanted to mention to you before, guys. This is the white dwarf we've been talking about. Notice how distinctly blue it is compared to every other star in this field. In the universe, blue is the hottest temperature you can have. And white dwarfs are pretty hot. Now, even hotter than white dwarfs are stars called Wolf-Rayet stars. Believe it or not, some of those stars have surface temperatures of 200,000 Celsius plus. In other words, so that's very, very hot. And but white dwarfs are anywhere between 20 or 30,000 Celsius plus. The absolute Kelvin scale is only, 230 degrees or so higher, or lower, I should say.
Lower than what?
Celsius, Kelvin, the Kelvin values.
I knew that, but just wondered what you were getting at.
I was just saying the difference between Kelvin and Celsius scales.
Yeah, the white dwarf is actually probably mostly radiating in ultraviolet, is it not?
Yeah, probably, because the temperature is very hot, and so very high energy. Now, the thing about a white dwarf, Interesting stuff. The white dwarf is no longer fusing any elements whatsoever. It's done. It's not a star anymore in the sense of the word. It's a degenerate star. That doesn't mean it's a bad actor and needs to go to jail. It means that it's a degenerate, meaning that its matter is so compact in its core. Okay, we're literally looking at an object that's only the size of the Earth. And this guy right here is over 600 light years away, isn't it? Like 500, 600 light years away.
Yeah.
So that means that we could see an Earth-sized object 500 to 600 light years away, and stars are point objects. They're only ever points, and they're bloated and look bigger only because our sensor bloats when it catches them. So they're not, doesn't mean this is a bigger star than that star there. This star is the same point as that star. That star is even too big. It'd be a tiny, tiny point, less than a pixel if we could show it, right? But this star would be one of those same pixels, but much brighter. And so that's why this star bloats, because in our sensor, it's a connected series of little square wells. And when one fills, it overflows into the next ring of them, and then the next ring, and the next ring. The more bright it is, the bigger the image of the star looks. Okay, that's one of the features of sensors. So stars of varying sizes are things we're used to seeing, and in fact, they kind of look pretty. But the fact of the matter is that it's all unreal. We're not seeing the universe for how it really looks. You know, even when you look at it with your eye causes some stars to bloat and look bigger in your eye. But in fact, they're the same size. The brightest star is the same exact size in the sky, roughly, as every star we see here, is for all intents and purposes. Okay, yes, they're various different distances away, but their size is going to be ever just a pinpoint. Just brighter pinpoints, and that's really hard to get across to people.
Can you indulge?
Yeah,
Can you indulge me for a moment, please?
sure. What would you like?
What we were looking at a few minutes ago, the different lines in your curve over there.
Yes.
Move your black level back over in the deepest part of the white crater.
Okay.
All right, and maybe jockey it around a little bit side to side, because it looked like some of the radial stuff was really showing up better
Oh
when
yeah. There seemed to be some magic points, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we want it to be like here, but that's for everything. But you're right. If we want to show just the radials, I mean, look there. It's like we're seeing more there.
And the inside red arc
Yeah.
down from about 9 down to about 7 p.m. Really stands out as separate from everything else.
We're missing this here. It's actually symmetric here across the white dwarf, so I wonder if that's related to its morphology and how it formed. See how it looks like it's blown out here and blown out there? I mean, that's always been what the helix looks like, so clearly there's a reason for that. Maybe it was rapidly rotating this way, and a lot of material was thrown out this way and that way. More so than north and south. Maybe that's what's going on there, yeah? I don't know. I've never seen any studies, so I don't know. Okay, let's pull this back then, a little back to here.
Well, I saw a 3D animation of the helix the other night after the show where we looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
And though, as a whole, it is round, call it spheroidal for what that's worth.
Okay.
sort of like what you said. But then the animation also showed a very distinct kind of a belt around it on one axis. I think it's pretty much face on to us right now, but as they rotated it around, like left or right, you could see this belt was like what we could call the polar regions here, running from top to bottom. There was a very distinct hoop
Right here.
around the nebula.
So this is the hoop.
Um, some of it is. I mean, again, the whole thing is round, like what you said the other night. Sort of, you
Yeah.
know,
Sphere.
like a ball shape or spherical, spheroidal.
Mhm.
But then there is a very distinct hoop around it also that I think is pretty much facing us right on.
Okay.
And as they spun it, you could see that it, you know, it was like a ball with a hula hoop, with a hula hoop with a ball in the middle.
Okay. Is the hula hoop on this angle?
Again, the hula hoop is pretty much facing us straight on right now.
So like this.
Yes, like we're looking right
Oh,
through the
okay.
middle of it.
Okay. Interesting. I was looking for an explanation of these blowouts at each end.
I understand. As for that, it's speculation on my part, but I would wonder, you know, when we have looked at the dumbbell, we have seen signs of what might be
Mm-hmm.
like a polar or equatorial axis
Yeah.
on the dumbbell, and possibly also where that axis is precessing, where it's lighting up the brighter parts of the dumbbell. But I would wonder if where the blowouts are there at lower left and upper right, if that might not be like the what was the equatorial plane of the blue of the white dwarf.
Yeah, it was expanding, more rapid mass loss in this direction, which is what I was saying earlier. I think that's possible. Yeah, but we're speculating, but in the end, sometimes that speculation is helpful. So I think it's pretty cool.
And I said the other night, well, looking at it, and they call it the Helix Nebula, and for a helix, it would be like you're looking at a coil spring end on, or maybe tilted at a very slight angle to us.
Yeah.
So we see the spirals around the coil spring, the helix.
Yeah.
Whether there really is a helix going on there at all, or if that's just appearance.
Yeah, I have to say, it would be really, really coincidental if we were looking straight down the barrel of any particular nebula.
Yeah.
Because, the universe is not ordered. There's a lot of chaos out there. It's ordered chaos in a sense. And so I think that when we talk about like looking down a barrel like they say the Ring Nebula is, I don't think they're right on that. I think that it just doesn't make sense to consider that we're getting these face-on things that just happen to be facing us like this.
Right.
Because what we don't see? We don't see the opposite. We don't see the lengthwise barrels, although there are.
Sometimes I think they do.
Like we see the Bowtie Nebula, okay, is one that's like lengthwise like that.
Isn't there one they call the Box Nebula or something, and it's just like we're seeing a cylinder from the side?
It does sort of appear that way. Yeah, it's weird because you'd never paint an object on a canvas that looks like the Box Nebula because it looks fake, but it's an actual object.
I would wonder too, looking at this from upper right to lower left, calling that maybe the equatorial plane of the white dwarf, similar to what we've seen in the Dumbbell Nebula in the past. If you look down at lower right and upper left, especially at about 4 o'clock there in the red,
here.
4 o'clock, and
There.
10 o'clock. That is the most intense red right there at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
And then on the other side, uh, up at about 10 o'clock, if that might not maybe be some indicator like what we saw in the dumbbell, where it looked like maybe the spin axis where it was precessing.
Yeah.
You know,
So
it was drawn kind of an angular thing to either side.
yeah, here is a little processing to show that this intensity seems uniform to about here. So this all seems pretty uniform. This has a tiny break here for whatever reason, but then it also continues to be like from here, that's slightly less intense. So I'm going to guess that if that's happening, it's something that has not been as copious as it is in what we see as the dumbbell. The dumbbell is markedly what they call a bipolar nebula. It's got behavioral issues. No, it definitely has lobes that are sticking up and sticking down, and bipolar nebulae like that are very common in the universe, and they do stem from stars that are rapid rotators with large amounts of mass loss along their equatorial plane and during their last phases of life.
Well, I could see right here where upper right to bottom left, if that's the equator, then the poles, you would assume would be 90 degrees to the equator.
Like
So
this.
at top left and lower right,
Yeah.
where the brightest parts are.
Yeah, no, I see that we got brightest parts here, brightest parts there, so it could be doing like precessing, through this range at top and bottom, but with differences in the interstellar medium causing this to look a little different possibly. I do have to address a question. I Am Your Mother says, why is there magenta only on the outside on the edges?
Yeah.
If you're talking about here, that's just a color balance issue with color correction, right? So like here you see like this magenta type color. That's actually a color balance issue. It's really supposed to look more like this. Okay, actually like this. All right. So it's just not color balancing. Sometimes the program gets confused because it's got so much color in it, it doesn't quite know what to use as a baseline. And I'll talk to Robin, the guy that wrote the program, and see about that, because that's something I've noticed before. I also want to check.
I
Go ahead.
think what Mother's saying, the different shells, that is the older stuff that was puffed off earlier. And then, the red stuff came first and the green stuff. That is, the hydrogen went first and then the oxygen came later.
You know what? I totally didn't see that. You're absolutely right. I have a feeling that you're right. Okay, I'm gonna save this.
Again, we saw the same thing with the dumbbell.
Yeah.
The red was out toward the edges and the green was in the middle.
Yeah. All right, so
Just a matter of when the stuff came off.
Yep. All right, I'm going to let this image come in. I didn't have the right color synthesis mode, and I just changed it. And this was looking too green to me. This really should be more teal. So this next image might be overlaying some of that on there, but we saved it, so. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's over the little extra color in there, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to go to 40 and then stop with that. Let's see, I wonder if we should... I I'm gonna think about this. We're currently in the southern sky right now. We could look up, straight up. I bet you the dumbbell's in an extremely good position. It's probably at highest point in the sky right now, I'm gonna guess.
Actually, I bet it's somewhat to the west.
Maybe, but I think it's still pretty high. Let's go see.
Huh.
I'll go see where it is.
It's over by Vulpecula and Sagitta, isn't it?
Yeah. Alright, so... Oops, sorry. Yeah, it's still high in the sky here. So, we would be... There it is. Yeah, it's like 59 degrees, 58 degrees up. So it's actually pretty well placed. And I think it'd be a great contrast to show this type of planetary nebula to another one with the same thing that has a blue, beautiful, hot white dwarf in it as well.
Go for it.
Okay.
A nice picture of the helix.
It is. So we've saved all this. So we've got this. I'll save this last one. Save exactly as seen. I'm going to try something. I'm going to clear. And I'm going to take in one image. And then I'll go to the other one. I just want to see the change of the color rendering now that I added a preprocessor control that's the correct one for the color palette. Okay, not much different, but see how noisy it is, guys, and as we successfully stack the images on top of each other like this. Let's call it live stacking. That's what we're waiting for. Image comes in, we slap it on, align it to the stars, and then slap it. This is what's called dynamic stacking, and that allows us to get rid of the noise because the noise averages out. Now we're only doing short exposures. If we did long exposures, the whole time the exposure is being done, some of that noise is being canceled out, which is really nice. Okay, let's get out of our stack here. I hate seeing the helix go, but we've got another object I think is going to be really pretty to see. Alright, so we're going to go now up to Vulpecula, and we're going to look here. Again, in the Milky Way, there's Cygnus, and let's go look at there and watch the telescope move. There it goes. And I gotta turn off our guiding because we don't need it there. Oh yeah, we're doing a... There it is. Look at that. That's pretty big. Alright. Oops, I think I went the wrong way. I did. When I get out there, I'm going to change the orientation so that it's, left is directly left and not kind of at an angle to the lower left. That's just one of the issues we had. Okay, good. Perfect. All right. Let's grab a guide star now. And after we get the guide star, we'll first stop it. Do our guide star again. Alright, and go for it. Okay, that looks like a good guide star. These are all backup stars. The square star there in the crosshair is our actual guide star. Okay, this is a dumbbell nebula. You can already see it looks very different. And this is a nebula that's brighter. Its surface brightness, as they say, is much brighter than the helix. The dumbbell's farther away. The helix is much closer. All right, but you'll notice that you still see a white dwarf in the center here, and we'll see that pretty clearly. This is going to be a 25-second shot. All right, and we're going to go into our live stack mode, and so this image, this object, is sitting again in Vulpecula. which
The
is
little
right here.
fox.
The little fox about to do this. There's the little fox, the mythology. And it's right near Cygnus the swan. Okay, where Alburio is its eye. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Yeah. And let's come in here. All right, let me come down here again. Pull this down. And make sure that I've got everything right there.
You see again, it looks sort of like upper right and lower left are blown out at the edges.
Yeah.
And then the red is also again at lower right and upper left.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks almost like you can see jets coming out from the star.
Yep.
Almost horizontal, but not quite, where the brightest red spot is over at about 3:30, and then on the right, and then the brightest red spot on the left is over there at about 9:30.
Right. So when we talk about this, we think, and this is, I haven't seen the research, but I'm going to make a guess that we'll find that this white dwarf in the middle there is actually doing this. It's precessing. And what we're seeing is the sweeping out because it's on an angle like this. Right. So here is its north and south pole, and this is its equator right here, spitting out lots of material as the star is rotating as it's doing this, as it's precessing. So it sweeps out an angle back and forth as it precesses. That's the shape you get when something precesses. And let's also point out that you've got other lines of oxygen out here that are starting to show up. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see them better. Actually, you'll see them better if I take our curve and move it all the way to the top. Now you can see these out here. So those came off the star first, okay? And the oxygen is that teal color that you're seeing right there. And we're still noisy right now. We only have 6 frames. So we drop this down like this, all right? And then what you can see as we zoom in now, let me change this. Okay, there we go. All right, so as we zoom in, as we zoom in, there's the very, very blue white dwarf. Now this is a lot further away than the helix, but you can still see that Earth-sized blue white dwarf in the middle of all this, because again, it's exceedingly bright. If you were near it, looking at it would certainly blind you. The light would be overwhelming. Your retinas would be burnt all the way to the down your optic nerve.
You'd have a heck of a tan too.
Very quickly, and that's the last thing you'd say. Hey, look, I'm getting a and you're a cinder.
I've always wondered with the dumbbell here. You see that line going all the way around it, kind of gives it the impression of an eye shape.
Here.
Out at the outer edges of the and I assume that has to be a shell expanding from the white dwarf, but the brightest parts of the red, especially on the upper left part of the nebula, how closely they adhere to that line of that shell, and to a broader degree on the lower right part of the shell. But then you've got that super hot red spot over at about 3 o'clock or so. That it's like it's following that line of clouds right back toward the.
It is, isn't it?
Toward the white dwarf.
Now, here's another thing that could be happening too with this object. Whereas we're saying this could be the equatorial outflow, this could also be the polar outflow, because you could get polar outflow as well from a star under certain conditions.
That's what I think.
Yeah. And so that would explain why this is so much further out, because the polar outflow would not be the same as the equatorial outflow. I mean, in a bipolar nebula, it means that the star is rapidly spinning. And that would mean that if it's rapidly spinning, it would tend to spin faster at the equator than at the poles. So the material flowing off of the equator would go off at a much higher speed than that coming off the poles. So we would see that. And if it's precessing, then you would get that strange arc here. Now, here's the real question. How come the hydrogen is only being shown here and here? Where's the hydrogen here?
Right.
And here. Now, there's a little right here. So, and out here is mostly oxygen. If maybe the hydrogen's there, but it's dimmer. But when we get the spectrograph, we'll again be able to cut right through this and see every element that's in here and identify what this is actually made of. So we're going to take the leap into some more real science. Not that we're not now. I mean, we're actually doing a pretty good job in astronomy right now, but we could do better. And I forget where I was talking. I did apply for another grant to actually teach astronomy, and I haven't heard back from them yet. But it'd be remote. I would do it by bringing people into our streams. But there's that white dwarf. Look at that thing. Doesn't look smaller than the other one, but it is farther away.
Trying to look at it 3D.
Yeah.
I could almost imagine the lobe of gas at the lower left, pointing out toward about 8 o'clock, 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and then the lobe of gas at upper right, pointing out. Imagine the one at the upper right is at some angle moving away from us, while the lobe at the lower left is coming out toward us.
Okay.
At an angle toward us, you see, and it's like it's overrun, or at least from our perspective, looking through that lobe, that original eye-shaped line going all the way around the nebula, that it's sort of coming this way to the lower left.
It could be, and one thing to keep in mind is we have to remember, as you point out, that the universe is in 3D. So there's no reason this is flat onto us. That could be going further away, like you said, and this could be coming closer. And these can actually be at an angle. It looks like it's straight to us, but this might be closer to us, and that part might be farther away. Same here. This might be closer to us, and that might be farther away. Kind of the whole thing twisted a little bit in space. And again, there is an element of this that's actually coming around the shell and going behind the shell. And so it's 3D, and we only have 2D projections, and we have to infer 3D based on Doppler studies of gas cloud movement and stuff like that.
It's a mystery.
Which I like.
Yeah. Well, I think still the two brightest red spots
Here.
the right there and over there. You see that line? It's almost like a line of clouds or jets. I assume they're jets, right there. And there's also one over there on the left side too.
Yeah, right there.
A little less distinct, but there it is, right there, closest to the red on the left.
Yeah.
If those are like energetic jets coming from the poles.
Yeah, it actually might be the current position in the precession loop if it's actually precessing. I mean, I actually offered the theory that bipolar nebulae were formed by rapid rotating stars that actually had precession going on like that. And there's a few astronomers that actually buy that idea. And for good reason, because it makes sense. I was always good with the common sense parts of astronomy. that's helpful when you're doing what we're doing. Well, that's beautiful. I mean, that's looking really nice. What I'm going to do now is we're going to capture this object, and we're going to label it. It's measure 27, the Dumbbell Nebula. Here it is. And we're going to set the target name. We'll save the image with annotations. There we go. And we'll come out of here. And we'll save that again. We have 25 frames. That's all we need. And again, if you want this beautiful image, I'll show you what you're going to get. It's up on our database. Probably going to be up there within 20 seconds of talking about it. But there's the image right there. You can go download that and enjoy it. Make it your background on your computer. Take a bunch of them down, make them backgrounds. So all enjoy it. And again, just if you want to help us, you can go to skytourlive.org. You click the donate button if you want to help us out. That's fantastic. We run on donations. We don't, we have one grant we received, well, two, and Asterion has helped us out a little bit, and that's just for equipment. But we actually pay $1,200 every 3 months for this building out in Benson, Arizona. The equipment's all ours, but the building belongs to the site, and it's $400 a month. That's very cheap compared to what they are elsewhere. There's places where you get less time on the telescopes, and it's $700-800 a month. So we're actually doing okay. And then out in the Wickenburg location, out in the other place, this is costing us $200 a month because we are providing Starlink to the site. So we have $400 a month plus $200 a month here because look right there, there's our Starlink. And that's where we're getting our internet. The other day, the internet was gone on the mountain, but we had full internet because we have Starlink. And that was the night I actually photographed the helix the first time. So, we're doing the best we can. If you want to join as a Patreon member, boy, oh boy, that would be really helpful. Obviously, that's a monthly membership. Depending on your level, you can get anywhere from 4 highly processed images. These are not highly processed. These are the RAWs. And we allow you to have those for free. But if you want highly processed images, well, then you can get those as well. Further, if you go to skytourlive.org, you can come up here, go up there, and you can actually get full-blown artwork under glass, framed, on canvas, on metal even. And that's really cool. You can get all of our images on that. If you go to our Sky Tour shop up here at Etsy, then you can look at everything from mugs to placemats to blankets to shoes and clothing and T-shirts that are actually got all kinds of imagery on them that we've taken. You can even get boxer shorts with our stuff on. We've kind of gone crazy up there making products, water bottles, etc., etc. All with SkyTour live stream stuff on it. All that helps us, and I don't take any money for this. Daryl doesn't get anything. I don't get anything. We're only donating to it. Daryl's donating. I'm donating. Other people that are watching have donated, and that's fantastic. I'm not trying to be a sales pitch, but I'm just suggesting that if you want, that would really help us. You could also donate during the streams. I've seen that before too, but you don't have to. I think it's nice if you can, but it's certainly not required. I enjoy doing this, as you know, and no matter what, I'm going to do it anyway, aren't I? And the answer is yes. So here we go. This is the dumbbell, and we're going to wait for this last exposure, and then we'll save it. As you can see, the guiding is spot on, Daryl. This is really good guiding system.
Yeah.
We're going to convert
Mark,
the other system over to it.
excuse me again for a moment, please.
Sure thing.
Right back.
Okay, we're going to go to a new object. Ouch. Okay. So there we go. Again, go enjoy this object. It'll be up there for you to take in just a few minutes. Not even, just a few seconds. That's another thing. We set up a server, okay, and that's on my expense, and we shipped the information out from the remote observatory up to satellites and then down to our server so that we can have these up on the server within just a few seconds, and it works very well. Very, very nice. Let's go see what we can do next. I actually kind of like where we are because we have some other things in this area that might benefit us to go look. Yeah, I could do that. It's just a little higher. It'd probably be looking the best. So we've seen planetary nebulae that are stars like the sun. When they die, they create these nebulae around them like this. Those are planetary nebulae, they're called. They're just the sloughing off of the outer layers of the star in a variety of morphologies. Spinning stars make these bipolar shapes like this, or normally spinning stars like our sun maybe has a spherical nebula coming around from it at the end. But then there is the violent side of stellar end, and that's for a much more massive star. When a star is more massive, its end state is nowhere near as quiescent. All right, and so that's kind of what this is about. So I'm gonna lock onto our area here. I'm actually gonna just do this. I'm gonna hop out of here. I'm gonna say I'm gonna tell it to dive into this object I'm looking for. This will be the Eastern Veil, and it's just nearby. There it is. You can't miss it. See it? You don't see that? Come on, really? Yeah. So let's do that. Bring this up here. Okay. I guess it's my experience, but I can see it right here. It's very obvious. If you look toward the center and then look over here, you can actually see the shape here. That's called averted vision. It's actually very helpful when you're trying to look at faint things in an eyepiece, but it also works here as well. All right, let's bring this up just a little more.
I'm back.
Okay, we're doing the Eastern Veil now to show another kind of star death. Okay. All right. So we're good there. So now let's go get our guide stars. So, hey, cut it out.
Something.
Huh?
Something strange. I didn't see chat move for a long time. I don't know if we were boring everybody to death or what. Then JSCL finally popped up, and now Star Traveler.
Star Traveler, yeah. Okay, let's grab our stars and guide. All right, off we go into the wild blue yonder. Okay, so now this is going to be a little left of this, but that's okay because there's other things here. I might just want to pull that over actually. Yeah, I know. I did this. What?
Oh, Star Traveler asked a question. I answered him. Star Traveler says, "How tough is the squid for you to image with your setup?" We have tried imaging the squid in the past, and I think it's going to take very long exposures.
It will.
Well, you
Yeah.
say you will. You have Star Traveler says he's done 23 hours. Still need more. We do short, fast exposures here, Star Traveler.
Yeah. Well, I said it will. I didn't say, yeah. Yeah, I said it will take a lot longer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's certain things that they're not beyond our reach, but they're beyond people's patience. That's all.
Yeah.
Um,
When we tried before, if I remember right, the squid is centered in another nebula, and I think we caught the outer nebula, but I don't think we hardly even scratched the squid.
I think so. It depended, I think, on its actual elevation at the time. I think that maybe we weren't quite. What happened there? Look at that. I'm wondering if. Hold on. I'm just gonna get my. Let me try one thing first. Let me just go look here and see if this shows there's any light clouds going over. No? Okay. Okay, so that goes to this. How we get our stars there, and let's stop that. Grab the stars and start guiding. Okay. If the wind blows, this could just knock us right out here because that's a very it's a magnified view of the sky. It's the same magnification as this. All right, so there's our arc, I believe. So we're on our way to doing 30 seconds, and it may not be perfect, but I'll tell you what. I'm
What
gonna make
object is this?
This is the Eastern Veil. I'm going to go to 32 seconds and start over. Yeah, see? Let's see how that was coming out. That would have been fine. But that's just a shortened version. When you give it another value, you get it dumps the existing array. Alright, so we're going to clear this anyway, because I'm doing a longer exposure, and we're at 200 sensitivity, not 250. We can go to 600. Look at that. Wow. So we're only seeing a portion of the Eastern Veil, as you can see. But there we see those colors again, guys. The teal green of doubly ionized oxygen and the red of hydrogen. And again, with our spectrograph, we'll be able to literally it's a slit spectrograph, so we'll put the slit right across this, and we'll see every detail of the composition inside here. Okay, let's take this and bring it over, bring it up brighter. Let's also process this, make everything a little brighter. Pull this up to just to the left of the top of the curve is the perfect location. A little higher. Isn't that beautiful? This is the remnant of a star that didn't just swell into a red giant and then shrink to a white dwarf. This is the remnant of a star that first swelled up into a red giant, and after swelling up into a red supergiant after that, it ended up collapsing entirely. This is the result of something called a core collapse supernova. Right? The planetaries, like the Helix and the Dumbbell, those were not core collapse. Those were just collapsing stars. They collapsed on themselves until they couldn't collapse anymore because of a physics property called degeneracy. With white dwarfs, it's called electron degeneracy. But with supernovae, generally, if they're a certain mass, then that core collapses right past white dwarf stage and goes to neutron star stage. And that's called neutron degeneracy. and there's a whole bunch of physics in there. But the fact is, what really is going on is it's another tiny star. A neutron star is even smaller than a white dwarf. A neutron star is only the size of Manhattan Island, okay? Whereas a white dwarf is the size of the whole Earth. The neutron star, imagine a white dwarf collapsing even further down to the size of Manhattan. You know, a teaspoonful, if you could, and you couldn't, but if you could hold a teaspoonful, a volume of a teaspoonful of neutron star material somehow, it would weigh billions of tons in Earth gravity. So it's really that dense. Now, naturally, as soon as you took your little sample away from the neutron star's compressed state, it would, of course, go and just spread out and explode into all different reaches of your region, probably going through you. So it's probably not a good idea to try. Yeah, look at that.
That's the stuff kilonovas are made of, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, kilonovas are even more than supernovas. You also have hypernovas. I think we have one. I think we've seen one kilonova in another galaxy, and I think there might be a hypernova that's known, which is even bigger. I mean, you got to imagine when stars are as big as, say, Betelgeuse or Antares, okay, the eye of the scorpion, or heart of the scorpion, eye of the scorpion.
Heart.
Yeah. When you have stars that big, where if you put them where the sun is, they'd go out past the orbit of Jupiter potentially. When they do a core collapse, and they're going to, both Antares and Betelgeuse will go supernova that way. When they do a core collapse, what's moving outward isn't stuff moving at the speed of light, except for what are called neutrinos. It's that physical matter moving out, and it doesn't move out at speeds that are light speed. It moves out way less than that, because it's a giant ball of rebounding material and plasma moving outward from the center. And so it takes hours and hours and hours for something the size of Jupiter's orbit for that stuff to breach the surface and destroy the star. So what happens is neutrinos do speed out at the speed of light. And when you see those streaming out, we know we've got something going on, and we know that it's time to consider looking in that direction where these neutrinos are coming from, because those neutrinos are heralding the onset of a supernova. Even though the star looks normal, the neutrino stream belies what's really going on underneath, and the neutrinos will reach us first. And once they do, we'll say, oh no, hey, neutrinos came from Betelgeuse. Everybody point your telescopes at Betelgeuse and keep a watch. It's going to be about maybe 4 to 6 hours, and we're going to see the supernova reach the surface with this material boiling out of the interior. And when it breaches that exterior, boom, the star is going to go, and we're going to catch a supernova before it happens. So we have neutrino telescopes on the Earth. They're very, very hard to look at. They're going right through the entire Earth, almost unimpeded. But we catch a statistically small number of them. And when we do this, we will know which direction they're coming from, because they're in a spherical tank, and depending on where they're coming from, we can kind of triangulate. And we have more than one tank of these detectors. And so we'll be able to know where it's coming from. We'll be able to point the telescopes at it and say, hey, let's all wait, because Betelgeuse is going supernova in 3 hours and 46 minutes. And we've been looking at Betelgeuse, waiting for the 0 hour. And based on when the neutrinos arrive, we'll know pretty much exactly how far behind the matter will be that can't move at the speed of light. And so that will be an interesting night or day. Because if it happens while Betelgeuse is in our daytime sky, okay, well, like during the summertime or whatever, then you will see a new star in the sky in the middle of the day. It won't be nearly as bright as the sun at all, but it'll be brighter than Venus, Okay, the brightest star, an evening star they call it, the brightest planet. And it'll be in the star. It'll be in the sky. The daytime sky is a second bright dot in the sky for perhaps a month or two, and maybe longer. And as it fades, it'll leave the daytime sky, and when we see it in the nighttime sky, we'll be in for a treat. Hubble, James Webb, will start looking at it, and you'll see immediately. You'll see a shell of material around what used to be Betelgeuse, and Betelgeuse will no longer be there. You won't see Betelgeuse anymore. If we're lucky, we'll see a neutron star with these telescopes. And so, if that's the case, maybe even with this one, and if that's the case, Orion's face will be changed forever. But that's just if it happens within our lifetime, right? Betelgeuse is counting down. It's like 10,000 years, plus or minus. So we're in that time range.
JSCO asked you a question. It's interesting how we see the hydrogen mostly on the right, the oxygen on the left. He wonders why. I might say that it's similar to what we just saw in the helix and or in the dumbbell, that one came first and the other one followed. Looking at the eastern veil here, if I remember correctly, the supernova would be somewhere off screen to the left, would it not?
No, it's down to the right.
Down to the right, okay.
Yeah. See, this is you can see the curve. It's kind of going. It curves this way. So
but,
the western veil is that way in the picture.
Right. That when the star went, I mean the elements were in different layers when it was still a star, and therefore when the star blew up, well, we see one element on one side and the other element on the other side. Isn't that basically how it would work?
Yeah, there's you have like in these stars, what you'll have is like an onion skin. You'll have the silicon making layer, you'll have an oxygen making layer, you'll have a carbon making layer, a hydrogen or helium making layer, and they're kind of all burning various levels of materials into the next element. And so there'll be stratified levels in there. When they blow off, if they blow off uniformly and homogeneously, then you might get just what we see. We might get this. So, interestingly, the hydrogen layers will be closest to the core. So they might be the last to come off. In a planetary nebula, if you notice, where we just swell into a red giant and collapse, and it sloughs off outer layers, you'll notice that we have hydrogen on the outside. Well, that makes sense because the outer layers are mostly hydrogen. And then the inner layers are the ones where you might have been having some oxygen being made, and that's why it's on the inside, perhaps. So you'll notice it's reversed from what we see here. So the helix is like reversed. The dumbbell is reversed. Okay, the hydrogen's on the outside. Okay, in that one. And that's because unlike here, this hydrogen that we're seeing in the red might be the result of the inner shells that were fusing hydrogen into helium. And so when it comes off, if it comes off somewhat homogeneously, then you might have an oxygen shell outside the hydrogen shell. It probably should be inside the hydrogen shell if you think about it. But we're also looking at a 3D representation on a 2D plane. So it's kind of hard to tell where exactly these shells would reside. But it's typically related to, like with the planetary nebula, we can see basically how the shells are expanding, because that's a slow motion thing where it's sloughing off. All right. And the other thing is, what we're seeing in these remnants are materials that the star was made with as well. And so mostly hydrogen, a lot of oxygen. So we tend to see a lot of hydrogen and oxygen nebulae in the supernovae anyway, because those elements are very, very common inside of the star before it even goes supernova. So it's interesting how this stuff works together. Let's see if anybody's got other questions down here. Oh, by the way, I probably didn't say hi to you, C&D boy. Sorry, and JSCO, how you doing? Hey, our mother wants us to answer a question for him. What do you guys think about GRB 250702b, black hole inside a star?
That's been a fairly popular subject lately. Not
Yeah.
necessarily in that particular gamma ray burst, but I've seen lots of speculation lately about black holes inside stars and black holes inside planets. In the past, I've seen some disaster scenarios about. I can't even think of who the author was. Gregory Bedford, science fiction author, that some aliens launched a black hole at Earth and it hit and it was slowly eating up Earth from the inside out and eventually destroyed Earth. Other scenarios I heard recently is that they're actually pretty stable, like a black hole inside a star. Could just be, slowly whiling its way away, whiling inside the center of the star.
That
Probably
just
depend a
seems
lot on
crazy.
how big the black hole is, how fast it would eat the star,
Yeah.
or the planet, as the case may be.
Well, see, I would have to then say, how would it get there in the first place? And that's where I have a problem.
Fusion?
Boy, I don't know. Because I just don't know.
They say that
Interesting.
now, they think Betelgeuse has a secondary star orbiting it, and some say that
Mm-hmm.
it's already inside the outer atmosphere of Betelgeuse. That maybe that would
Yeah.
slow it down, that would tend to pull it closer to the center.
Yeah, but if it's a star of any mass, then we have to remember that there's two stars in that case, two cores, and I think I read at some point there was some research about potential stellar mergers, but that was considered rare, if not unheard of. It was just a theory, but it might actually be something that could occur. I'm not sure. We're going to do one more here, the 30th exposure, then we'll be done. And we're going to save it. Save exactly as seen. There you go. And this one is now done. Look at that beautiful colors. All those filamentary structures, by the way. There's some theories out there about that. Like, see this beautiful gossamer set of fibery filters? Those are light years long and several portions of a light year in thickness. Okay, well, this particular stellar remnant here, there's a lot of gas inside of other stars, and when you ionize it, it gets really, really brightly colored like this. It glows very brightly. Remember, that all stuff was all in the atmosphere of a star that was just a larger mass star. In other words, that star that did this was no bigger than that little tiny dot right there. Don't forget. All right? It was no bigger than that tiny little dot, but it was full of this material. When it exploded, that's the kind of stuff you see, and it's very tenuous. If you flew toward it, you'd be flying right through it, and you could very well fly through it and never hit an atom in there. Kind of just like when Cassini flew through Saturn's rings, not once but twice, if I recall, it never hit a ring particle because they are so far apart in reality. Well, the atoms in these nebulae are so far apart that only from great distance do we see it looking like it's something much more dense. So, again, the smallest star you can see in here is still too big for what the star that caused this was in size. So, that's interesting. All right, we're good there. So we're going to stop this, and we're going to check in with our comet one last time, and then we're going to call it a night. And the comet check-in is just going to be just a quick look.
Is it even up still?
I don't know. We're going to find out. Let's go see. I doubt it. It might be. See? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it may. Let's find out. It won't be as pretty, I would guess, but let's see if it is. Let's look at Swan. Where's Swan? No, okay, it's set. It's set earlier. That's true. If we get rid of the ground. Yeah, Swan is down here. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Well, I thought about it. All right. Well, anyway, so we're gonna call it for tonight, guys. It's 1:04 a.m. here, and the other observatory, of course, now the sky is clear. It wasn't before; it was very cloudy. And that's our wide field system under wraps right now. But this one worked very well tonight, and I'd like to thank you guys for coming out and being part of this tonight. Really enjoyed it. We saw the comet for quite a while, took a lot of photos, and we'll be able to make a animation of it. So you'll see that. It'll be great. In any case, there's Donald Kunzer. I see you now. Hi there. I want to thank you guys for coming out, and I hope you have a good night tonight. Daryl, thank you for being part of this.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, you guys have a good night. And we will talk again on the next stream, which will be probably, I'm not going to wait for the moon to come back up. We're going to actually do another stream before the end of this lunar cycle, for sure. All right, guys. Have a good night, and we'll talk soon. See you later, everybody.
Good night, all.
Stars so bright in the sky, on Arizona nights they fly. Nebulae in colors rare, galaxies beyond compare. Sky tour in the night so clear, brings the universe near. Real-time wonders to see, streaming light for you and me. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. In the dark, the night unfolds, stories of the cosmos told. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Far away, up so high, across the stars beyond the skull. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real, like a gleam. Lift your eye up so high, across the stars beyond the sky. Sky tour shows us the way, every night a new display. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views, every night feels brand new. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the view,